Hello and welcome to a very, very special episode of Youth Therapy. My name is Roman, and this time I'm not alone. I am joined not by one, but by two heavyweights from Curva Twitter community. It's Graham and Alberto. How are you doing, guys?
Doing fantastic. Thanks for having me, Roman. Appreciate it.
Sure. Graham, how are you doing?
I'm good, fine.
Good. All right, so gentlemen, Graham, I'm gonna start with you. So I'm gonna give you three rapid-fire questions, and you need to give me the answer as quick as possible. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
All right, let's start. New Holland or Jeep?
Jeep.
Bonucci or Benatia?
Benatia.
Liverpool or Manchester United?
Man United.
Oh, wow, okay. Perfect. And Alberto, I got the same for you. Same challenge. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Conte or Allegri?
Conte.
Juan Cuadrado or Milos Krasic?
Oh.
Okay. Thank you. And last but not least, Inter or Milan?
Milan.
Okay, well, that's a good answer at the end. Thank you. Okay, very interesting stuff. So now you know a little bit of my guests. Just to start it off with. Okay, so interesting. We are recording just after the final whistle at the Marassi, where Juventus lost to Sampdoria 2-0 and ended the season with 90 points, 11 points ahead of Napoli. And real quick, Graham, your thoughts on the game?
Missable, just nothing special. There's not even much point in watching it. It felt like a pre-season friendly at the end of the season. Nothing on the line and just an awful game to watch, and typically we lose it. I mean, that's quite a few games now. I don't know the exact number. A few games now we've went without a win since we beat Fiorentina, and I think that was over a month ago. So that tells you everything you need to know about the end of the season for Juventus.
Alberto, what do you think about the game today? Was it like deserved end to the Allegri era?
Well, what's that? He finishes off one win out of the last 9 or something like that. And to be honest, I've been saying it throughout the season. I'm not quite sure how we tallied up all those wins the way we play. And today was nothing different. I get it. We had the Scudetto wrapped up and stuff, but we're just so aimless in attack, and there's just no drive there. And when you try to run an offense through flash guys like Costa, Cuadrado, like we don't have a controlling presence in the middle. And even Pjanic suffered there this season. He was not up to his standards, and that's what we get. That's the way it happens. And at the back, we are not as strong as we once were. So there's changes to be made there.
Yeah, we keep conceding the goals, and it's just as soon as CHIELLINI was subbed off, that's where the shit started.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's something that we have to prepare for, and it's going to be really, really tough. He's irreplaceable, but I had a good conversation with someone online there that us not making the right steps when we were losing key guys out of the midfield has put us in a situation where we can't go out and spend big on that center back target because we have holes to fill in other positions, and mainly the midfield. Having that void there and having to fill that prevents us from preparing properly at the back. And then the Bonucci add-in just adds to that, like just a blunder there. We got it. Our age is starting to catch up to us, right?
Yeah, so finally the season ends, and we're analyzing this very strange season, even though we have been crowned as champions yet again. There were a lot of underpowered performances, a disappointing exit in the Coppa, and of course the Champions League, which eventually will see Max Allegri leave the club after the season, finally. But we'll get back to Allegri and his shortcomings a bit later. Our primary task today is rating our players' performance this season, one by one. So guys, you ready for this? It's not gonna be easy. Trust me. But it's we have from 1 to 10. This is the scale. So I guess we'll do it like in Football Manager. I don't know if you played the Football Manager. I'm sure you did. So the 6 is like the basic starting point. So if you give him a 5, that's just below the average, and 7 is of course just above the average. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So Graham, let's start with you. Wojciech Szczesny. Let's start with the Polish goalkeeper. How did you think he was this season?
I think he was actually very good. I mean, you have to remember he had big gloves to fill when Gigi Buffon left, and he did pull off spectacular saves from us. I mean, those don't want to talk about it, but those defeats, the one defeat against Ajax, I remember him just pulling off saves. Same again against Atletico Madrid when we lost again, but he pulled off a fantastic save against Griezmann.
What did you give him? Sorry.
An 8.
An 8. All right. Very good. Alberto, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with the points made on Czech, and I actually gave him a 9, just for the consistency throughout the season. Yeah, and it's not easy to play for Juve. First off, it didn't get easier for him as our defense showed to be softer. And yeah, I think he was just steady, and I had full confidence in him throughout the season. I was fine with him. So yeah, I give him a 9.
It's very surprising. We were expecting him to be a bit, at least I expected him to be, unstable. But he went in and just went for it throughout the whole season. And the number 1 shirt is his. And those rumors about Donnarumma coming in, it's just nonsense, because Wojciech Szczesny is there to stay, of course. But I gave him an 8. So overall, we are agreed, I guess. But yeah, Alberto with a 9 there. Mattia Perin. Graham, what about you?
Did we even see him? I'm trying to think about a game that he played in. I guess I would give him a 5, 6. I can't recall seeing that much of him.
Alberto, what about you? Mattia Perin. Does it even deserve a rating, or?
Well, I think, we saw him a few times. I'm trying to think back on some of the goals he let in, like not really his fault on any of them, but at the same time, he did look a little shaky. So maybe like a 5.5 for Perin. A lot of talks on him leaving us too now, so wanting to play more. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I just gave him a 6 because I got nothing. He played. I just checked. He played 9 games. So I get that you don't remember him playing, and now the rumors are him going to Roma. And then my question is, why did we even buy him? We could have kept Audero in there as a second goalkeeper, but it's money in the pocket, I guess. But he clearly didn't take that step.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they, I don't know, figured somebody was ready to pick him up and wanted to prevent that or something. Maybe just block out another team from getting him or something. Have control over where he goes. I don't know. It's weird.
All right, so we will not rate Carlo Pinsoglio because he only played today and conceded 2 goals there. Yeah.
But the social media photo game, come on, we gotta rate Carlo.
Well, he isn't a kit man, is he?
Yeah.
But he is, as far as I understood, he is a vital character in the dressing room.
That's what I
hear. Yeah. So at least there is something, but we will not rate him based on his dressing room antics and so on. So let's just keep it that way. Graham, let's go to defenders. We have a bunch of them, as all Italians do. Alex Sandro. Let's start with him. He just got only 1 goal and 2 assists for the whole season. What's up with him this season?
Same as last season. Just carried on, didn't it? Yeah. I can't recall, again, any standout moments for him. I mean, the statistics that you just threw out there kind of sum up his season. I mean, it wasn't horrendous. It wasn't great. It was just average, really, as far as I can recall. Give him 6.
Yeah.
Average season.
Yeah. Alberto, do you agree?
Yeah, I was gonna agree. I was gonna say a 6 or 6.5, just because at least he's solid defensively. He has lost that offensive flair for whatever reason over the past couple of years. He's been just the same, right? His defensive game's solid at least, so I'll give him that much and give him a 6, 6.5 just for average.
But what's the reason, Graham? What's the reason for Alexandro being just stagnating these 2 seasons? What do you think it is? Why?
The guy in charge doesn't like attacking football.
Yeah, that's an easy way of that's true.
Yeah.
I don't think Go ahead, Graham, sorry.
Sorry, it's fine. I mean, we were more attacking in the 16-17 season, and that's a standout season for him. You know, every time you talk about Alexandro, you go back to that season and you say, that's the Alexandro we want to see. And afterwards, you just off. And, you know, this season particularly, despite all the attacking options we had, never really completely utilised on them for one reason or another. You know, who knows? We probably won't actually know for sure why, but just look at the manager, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think it does him any help having Matuidi on that side of the midfield with him. Because you see the odd time where he does check one inside and he does give it a go. That ball's not going to him. And if Matuidi does attempt it, that kid in the 5th row's got a better chance of getting it than Sandro. So, I mean, that doesn't help. I've been saying it all year. Like, watching those guys work one flank is a nightmare. You can't have it. It turns into a black hole and the ball always goes backwards. So that doesn't help. And, I mean, Allegri never really did anything to kind of try and figure that out. And on the opposite side, we had Costa and Cancelo work some magic one match, and it looked incredible. We never saw that again the entire season. Never got to see those 2 guys dominate a flank again. Even though they did it like one whole half, just once he made that switch, that was it. They just carved up that defense at will, and we never saw it again. It's shocking. Anyways, goodbye. Alex.
Yeah, true. All right, let's go to the main man, Giorgio Chiellini. I just checked his stats, and it's 1 goal and 1 assist. But, well, where would we be without Giorgio, Graham?
Pretty much, we would be worse off in defence. You see it yourself. Anytime Chiellini's either being rested or injured, more likely injured, that defence just looks so much weaker. I mean, without Chiellini, our senior experienced defender is Bonucci, and that says it all. I would give Chiellini, I'd give him an 8 alongside Chesney.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had standout moments. He's our best defender, and we're really going to be suffering if we don't replace him for when he's eventually going to leave.
Yeah. Oof, yeah. I can't. I don't want to talk about that day.
No.
Yeah. Alberto, I'm just wondering. Chiellini, has he really started to get better as the seasons go? I mean, last season he was good, but he wasn't great. But this season he really elevated, and maybe even better this season than last season.
I think it's part of it is it may appear that way because of how poor Bonucci is, to be honest. Having Benatia there with him last season for a lot of it, like, that was solid, man. It was really good, because Chiellini was still great. It's just this year it was just emphasized when you see the backups coming in there for him and who they are, being Bonucci, Rugani, like, it just makes him look that much more spectacular, man.
What did you give him?
For me, there's 3 guys. Czech was one of them. 9. Chiellini's another. He's going to be 9 for me, because those guys, you can't take them out of our lineup, right? See what?
Yeah, true. And he's also his first season as a captain.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something to do with that as well. But then again, I gotta say, there's one thing that annoys me, not only with Chiellini but our medical staff. as his calves.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have we seen these news? How many times have we read that he has problems with his calves and maybe he'll be out 2-3 weeks or something? Our medical staff knows about this. So, what's up?
How many times do we have injuries in warm-ups? Like warm-ups, like prior to game and making changes. It's so frustrating. And then like I saw one of the fans sent me something interesting, and it was Allegri's numbers dating back to Milan with these injuries and muscular injuries, and it was like the highest. He's got like the highest, and people wanted to slam Conte for how hard he works the teams and stuff like that. But Allegri is just, his numbers are brutal, and you start looking at this report. It's very interesting. I'll post it again when we're done here on Twitter. But yeah, and that staff member, that key medical staff member, is with him at Juve.
Yeah.
And it's just like shocking, right? I'm like, how many times are we gonna just do the same thing over and over, have the same problems, and not address anything, right? It's frustrating though, the injuries, man, especially like right prior to a match.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, Chiellini gets 8 from Graham, 9 from Alberto, and yeah, I gotta give him an 8 for his performance. Let's go to Mattia Di Ciglio, Graham. What you think about his performance this season? It's yeah, no doubt about it. He is a lover boy of Max Allegri, but how? Because he likes him even more than Cancelo, it seems. Yeah. How do you think he did this season?
Well, I think Allegri him because one fullback is a defensive-minded fullback and the other is an attack one. You know, you can guess which one is which.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's an average player, really. It's nothing special, nothing to shout home about. You know, he's a good squad player. He's good to have in your squad to rotate or rest players, whatever. He's always good to have in the squad. You know, it wasn't great. It wasn't bad. I'm probably going to say that a few times about quite a couple of players. Give him 6, just average.
Yeah. He just only got 1 assist this season, Alberto. So yeah, really, it's nothing to brag about.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's the kind of guy, yeah, again, just like he's a good bench guy, right? Coming off, you know what you're going to get. It's strictly going to be defensive. He's not going to offer you much in the attacking side of the pitch. Yeah, and it is what it is. I mean, he's not terrible. I mean, he's definitely improved his defending from what I've seen to him prior, so I'll give him that. Yeah, I'd go the same 6.5.
Yeah, 6.5 from me as well. Newcomer, our January signing, and no, it's not Sami Khedira. It's Martin Cáceres. Graham, what did you give him? Does he even deserve a rating? Let's go that way.
I mean, he'd done his job, really. You know,
Yeah.
he was there as a backup player. I mean, he was there to fill in the void left by Benatia. We needed a defender to come in. It was always going to be, he's going to be a temporary option. You know, I would give him a 5, or I'd give him a 6 because he's not really done that much wrong, but he's not done right. He's just, again, another squad player.
Yeah. Same for you, Alberto.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. 6. All right. So yeah, 6 for me as well. The snake, Leonardo Bonucci. He is back. We brought him back because we wanted him apparently, and Benatia was pissed, and then he left. So let's go with Bonucci first, Graham. What did you give him?
I would like to be kind and give him. I would like to be kind, and I was trying to think of ways to give him a 7, just because he did. You know, when he got his passing right, he got it bang on. I mean, you go back to it's another horrible game, the defeat against that Ronaldo goal. I mean, that ball where he just crossed it in and it just looped on for the volley. That was brilliant, but it didn't happen enough, and his defence shot to bits since he went to Milan and came back. So I'm gonna have to give him a 6 for average. I mean, he's just too much of a liability in defence. He was the one that was costing us some goals early on, especially.
Yeah.
So yeah, um,
Yeah, I mean, he clearly declined as a football player since he left for Milan and then came back to Juve. So for me, he doesn't deserve anything more than a 7. I gave him a 7 actually. I don't know, Alberto, what did you give him?
I gave him a 6.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, just he's at the root of a lot of goals allowed for us usually, and there's no doubt about it. If Chiellini's not in there with him, he is just poor, very very poor at the back, and that's his main job. I don't care about the 1 or 2 great balls he had through the season. You know, that doesn't make up for your first job as a center back, which to me he was poor at throughout the
Yeah.
season.
Well, his primary job is to defend, and
Yeah.
he's not that good at it.
Yeah.
Yes,
The-
it's true.
the-
So for me, it's like I don't know. We downgraded from Benatia to Bonucci.
Big time.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Benatia, I don't know. For me, he deserves a 7. I don't know, Alberto. Do you agree?
For Benatia,
Yeah.
how many times did we see him for us? But the couple matches he was in there, he definitely outplayed Bonucci. So
Yeah.
like, if Bonucci, I give him a 6. Yeah, Benatia, I put him up on him, so 7, I'm okay with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Benatia should have had that job, as Spinazzola should have had Sandro's after he come in, and we'll get to him as well. But yeah,
Mm.
I mean, it's just, again, one of my biggest complaints with the club throughout the season was no competition for starting spots, just Allegri's lover boys, as you say.
Mhm.
And it's frustrating. The Bonucci thing really frustrates me because I could get behind the mentality of he's going to free up Pjanic to get deeper or to get further up the pitch, which should help everybody and transition from defense to attack. It never happened. They were 5 feet apart the whole season anyways. So if that was the whole part of it, was his great passing ability and freeing up Pjanic higher up, it didn't happen whatsoever. And we got the poor defending to go on top of it. So it was like double whammy there for us.
What do you think, Graham? Did we do the right thing with sending Benatti away?
at all. I mean, it was just a lack of playing time for several players. It was a lack of rotation, and if you're gonna go by Benatia's word, what he said a week or 2 ago. Allegri said his position wasn't under threat. He was gonna give him game time. He was gonna be in the first team, and back in his word. And if the guy in charge of the team goes back on his word, then how can you trust him on anything else? So I can't really believe in if all that's true. And first and foremost, he's a better defender than Bonucci. The only reason I think we brought back is supposedly he's a ball playing defender. And like you both said earlier, if you're a defender, your first thing you've got to do is defend. And Bonucci's just not good at it.
Well, the funny thing you brought it up actually, because this Benatia thing, once Benatia, this interview came out, not many hours or days later, this Allegri announced his termination of the contract, or Juventus did. So the Benatia interview came out the day before Juve announced that Allegri is quitting. I don't know if that has something to do with it, that Benatia just called him out on his lie, on his failure to deliver the promise. I don't know what happened, but the fact is that I think Benatia got screwed, and I think he was deeply honest with it in his interview. And with Bonucci in there, I don't know. For me, it's like he has no assists this season, 0. So this ball playing style, this ball playing argument isn't real, and it's Pjanic still. Pjanic is more important to the team than Bonucci. So for me, nothing really. There was no effect with Bonucci bringing Bonucci back, 0.
They didn't give him the assist on that Ronaldo goal?
No.
Crazy.
Yeah, thank you for that. My point, my argument still stands though.
Oh no, it still stands. I'm just saying at least one for that one. I'll give him.
Yeah, well, you're
That
not gonna get it. All right, moving on real quick. I'm sorry to say, but Andrea Barzagli is quitting. He is done as a player. Man, I really want his shirt right now because I just wanted to put it up here just for tribute because this guy, I really love him. The professional, he's so professional. He is one of the main guys at Juve. I really love him, and I'm gonna miss him.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
So for me, this season wasn't great for him because he barely played, but I'll just give him a 6.5 just for the sake of it. Yeah, I don't know. Graham, do you agree?
I'm trying to. I mean, we didn't, like, if you take away, like, I love him as a player and he's been brilliant for Juventus. He was an absolute bargain signing when we got him.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I always go back, like, I didn't see that much, and then he got injured, and once he got injured, that was pretty much the end for him. And I always go back to, and it's unfair on him, it's not his fault, but I always go back to, brought on for the Man United game, and it just completely turned on us, and we ended up losing it. It's not his fault, but his age times during this season, and it just looked like, you know, it's time to call it a day. But I'm gonna give him a 6 for sentimental value anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm 6.5 on Barzagli, you know, and I don't know, there's so minimal minutes to actually look at here of him in game this season, but the Man U thing, that's definitely not his fault. Thank God who is at fault won't be there, but yeah, I mean his match, that 60 minutes he put in the last match at Juve Stadium for him, he was great. He was solid, you know, like when he's healthy, he's so smart. And the age he's at, and he's playing, and you just see him adapt his game to suit him, right? And his body and where he's at and stuff. But he knows, and that's the hardest part, I bet, for these athletes, is when you realize, you know, you just can't go with them anymore. But Barzagli, yeah, a steal for us this season for the limited amount he's in there. Still just above average, just because of how smart and smooth he is out there. And if I am going to get this Oreo split in half kit, it's probably going to be with Barzagli on the back, so I can at least put it up in one of these shadow boxes.
But just turn it around, please.
Yeah,
with the back, because I don't want to see the front.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to the guy who signed new contract this season. I don't know, he must be the happiest man alive because he doesn't play much and he clearly doesn't want to evolve. He doesn't want to get better because anyway, he will not start for Juve because always there will be someone better than him. Chiellini is there, Bonucci is there, Barzagli was there, and of course Benatia. So Daniele Rugani, Graham. How did he do this season? I mean, he has 2 goals, so that's something. But still, I fail to see the consistency. But I don't know what you think.
He just fails to live up to the expectation we had for him, and it's the same every single season. I mean, when Bonucci left last season, you know, that was the year where we all thought, a step up, he's going to make that position his own, he's going to really get into the first team and cement his spot. He didn't do it. Bonucci comes back, he doesn't get much game time again, and he had some moments, but he just doesn't look first team quality to me. I mean, he looks good. He's a good player to have in your squad. He's a good player in the squad to have for rotation and come in and give a defender a break, especially Chiellini at his age now. But it's nothing really to shout about, Rugani, and it's just disappointing that he doesn't live up to the expectations that we once had for him.
Yeah, that's completely true. I saw the video from the open training at for Juve. I don't know, you guys, if you saw that, where Cristiano scored that goal and he cheered, and yeah, The defender who was trying to block the shot was Daniele Rugani, and I've never seen this done by a human being, by a male. I mean, he is afraid of the ball. I mean, I get that this is Ronaldo. I get this is a training ground. It's not a match, but still, get stuck in, get in there. But I don't know. He just feels. I feel that he's so insecure every single game.
Well, his girlfriend's gonna get upset with him if they can't post those Instagram pics if he takes a ball to the face.
I was hoping you're gonna avoid it.
No, Rugani's like, just for a straight up number, just 6. I mean, you know what you're gonna get. He's just coverage on. He seems totally happy, like Rome said, staying on the bench, doing his thing. I mean, he's got no us creating a lack of competition for starting spots doesn't help, but he doesn't have the drive or desire to go and take that spot. And you could see it in him. Like, he's okay. I've seen maybe 2 appearances this entire season where I thought, hey, there's a solid performance by him. But the rest of the time, he's just so damn shaky and nerve-wracking. He just, like, I don't know. I have very, very little confidence in him playing anybody but the lowly sides in Serie A. So, if we're keeping him, it's going to be playing against those clubs.
Yeah, Graham, what do you think? Should let's see Rugani leaves. Let's just say theoretically, and he starts playing for a smaller club like Lazio. Well, no offense, Lazio or Bologna or somebody else. I don't know. Would you think that he will get better by playing consistent football?
I think he might look better. I mean, I can't remember. How did he look for Empoli when he was there? I mean, was that not where we started talking big about him when he put in performances for them?
Well, he played every single minute without getting a yellow card. That's the only thing that I remember.
Yeah, that's big claim to fame, was no yellows.
Yeah, so it might just be a mental thing. I mean, it's different. It's a world of difference with the expectation between playing for Empoli and playing for Juventus. So maybe that's part of it. I mean, if he got some playing time, games, maybe he would improve. But he's had 3 seasons at the club, and still Allegri didn't give him that run of games. And I know we're kind of got a little, how can I put it politely, a little hate thing for Allegri right now. But there must be some reason why he didn't get into the first team regularly.
That's one thing with Allegri though. Like, who has progressed with him? Like, really, out of the younger guys, like, who has? Like, it's not to say that Rugani's like done or can't be any better than he is, and he's always going to be that bench guy. Like, he could develop, but with Allegri in this 4-back system and a lot of his minutes being with Bonucci, I don't see it happening. I just don't.
Yeah, true. All right, so what did you give him, Graham?
I would give him a 6. Average.
Yeah, 6 for me as well, actually. All right, let's go finish up real quick with Joao Cancelo, Graham. Insane offensive qualities, but very poor defensively. I was hoping he would get better defensively with the defensive mind of Allegri, but that doesn't seem to have happened. So just before Allegri was announced that he was leaving, there were rumors that Joao Cancelo was going to be sold because Allegri was fed up with him. Strange, but immense quality offensively, Graham.
Yeah, I mean, we were all praising him early on in the season. The first half of the season, he was really good. We thought to ourselves, how could Inter screw up and not try and get this player, because he was with them the previous season on loan, wasn't he? So, we were thinking, we've got a great fullback on our hands here, and he's brilliant going forward. And then whatever happened for the second half, it looked the same player. Don't know what happened to him. But I thought he was really good early on. He was bombing down forward. He was always contributing to the attacks. He is a liability defending, but I think there's quite a few fullbacks that are like that in the game. I mean, it's all just going forward attacking right now. But I would give him a 7 for the earlier performances. But as the season progressed, it just kind of tailed off, and you would have preferred to see Spinazzola get some game time in a regular run of games as well. I mean, I thought he was pretty sure for the Ajax goal in the first leg, if I remember right. But
yeah, that was a great assist to Ronaldo, actually. Yeah, I remember.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he had the assist, and then he was at fault for the goal that we conceded.
Yeah.
So that summed him up pretty much. The first half, the second half, it was just hot and cold, really. But I'd give him a 7, just above average.
Yeah. How happy were you with signing him, Alberto?
Signing Cancelo?
Yeah.
I was pretty happy with it. I mean, we needed it. We needed someone to take that spot. And I didn't think that price tag was too bad, to be honest. A lot of people were balking at that price before he came along, but I said, he was, as Graham mentioned, at Inter, so he's going to be comfortable in the league. It'll be good. We'll see what we have there. But then when he started playing for us, especially at the start of the season, God, he came out of the gate strong, and it was just like, holy smokes, what do we have here? Like, what did Inter drop? But for a combination of things, I believe we just never got to see him reach his full potential. And I think part of it goes back to our formations, our alignments, and what we choose to do with our midfields that affects him. You can't ask a guy to attack and be one of the ways that you produce offense and shut down counterattacks at the same time. He's got to get down into the final pitch. It's the game we play. Allegri wants us to cross the ball from the flanks out wide. Well, guess what? If you're asking him to do that, he loses the ball. Obviously, you're going to be caught in transition. But what Allegri does is the midfielders on both sides of Pjanic, he pushes them forward. Okay, great. We're not going to push through the center, just Pjanic, keep those guys back to cover Cancelo. No, we're going to push them forward so that we're really screwed when we lose the ball. So, yeah, he's not the greatest defensively, but we don't do him a whole lot of favors. And we don't do our team justice, really. And Allegri's formation, tactics, alignment, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't make sense a lot of the time. But Cancelo, I don't know. There's a lot there if harnessed and treated properly. Like, could potentially be the best. We're talking like potentially the best right back in the world if used properly, and he can get that defensive part of his game, his personal style, away from tactics and whatnot, alignment. If he can just get that part brought up, it's incredible what we could have there, right?
Yeah. Rating.
6.5 for him. 6.5 to 7.
All right. Yeah, I gave him a 7 just because he was probably the first right back that we had, except from Dani Alves, who knew what to do with the ball. Unfortunately, Dani Alves left. And Joao Cancelo is a great prospect. The only thing that's troubling me is that I need to see him develop, and I need to see a manager, a coach who believes in him and knows what to do with these kind of players. Because right now with Allegri, he basically didn't know what to do with this kind of technical right back. Never had it. So yeah. All right, so Cancelo we got, and then finally you briefly mentioned Spinazzola, Alberto. 1 assist. He was injured throughout most part of the first part of the season. This injury is a dangerous one. It's it could potentially stop your career. What happened with many players, but he got back and maybe even better than he was at Atalanta.
Yeah, arguably, but yeah, Spinazzola was fantastic. I thought, when he stepped back, getting back from injury quicker than anticipated too, and he stepped in there and played a great first match. And then again, Allegri just went back to Sandro for quite a few games again before we saw Spinazzola. And then Spinazzola had to cover in a few critical games and did fantastic. And then it wasn't until after that, a little stretch of games there, one including a Champions League match that Spinazzola played in, and that was the return leg against Atletico that he was a part of, that Alexandro started to pick up his game a bit. It started to look a little bit better too. And it's funny how, when guys are second guessing their spot, it could change up. But, if you've got half a dozen lover boys playing on the field, you get what you get, right? But when the guys that deserve to play aren't getting the pitch, it creates problems too, aka the Benatia situation. And it starts to make you wonder. Then you start hearing stories that, hey, there's quite a few guys that are not happy or not comfortable in the dressing room. And then take what you want out of all those, reports and whatnot. But I believe there's something going on there in that locker room, and I think I wouldn't deny that, or I wouldn't be surprised if they did start talking to Chiellini to find out, what the chemistry is like in there and what's going on and whatnot. It wouldn't shock me at all. It's something that I've been talking about on my podcast the whole season, is that you see the issues with Dybala dating back to 2 seasons with him, tension, and him and Allegri. Benatia, just think about it. If you went to work somewhere, you filled in for somebody, you did a great job. This guy comes back and then he takes your job. How would you feel? You'd be pissed off too. So it doesn't surprise me, right? There's issues there. I'm glad we're going to see some change. I think the biggest thing is, and it's one of the things I personally would have been just fine if we ended up with Conte, is that at least he creates competition. He makes it about the stripes again, and it's not about the names that are on the back of the kits,
But back to Spinazzola, what do you give him?
Spinazzola gets a 6.5 for me.
Yeah.
6.5 to 7. Yeah, he's there with Cancelo for me.
Fair enough. Graham, what do you think about Spinazzola? I mean, for me, he's completely the opposite of Alexander. Spinazzola is a more direct player. Every time he gets the ball, he wants to dribble. He wants to challenge the opposition instead of passing the ball back to Chiellini, back to, I don't know, Matuidi, or I don't know, somebody. But with Spinazzola, it's always, every time he gets the ball, there is danger. I can sense it. There's something is going to happen. Do you agree? And what did you give him, Graham?
Yeah, I mean, he's not afraid to go forward. Effective going forward, as effective as he is in defence as well. He was unfortunate with the injury early on. We might have seen more of him. He came back from a big injury. He made the most of his game time. He actually put in some really good performances. He was part of, our best result of the season against Atletico Madrid. So, just for what I've seen from him, I would give him a 7. It was really promising. So,
and he can actually cross the ball, which a lot of guys on our team can't. And he could do it right foot and left foot. That's what I like. That's huge with him, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Good. So 7. That's all a great guy. Looking forward to next season, actually, seeing him, what he's going to do and who is going to manage this guy. Hopefully, he has faith in him. Okay. So midfield. Miralem Pjanic, 2 goals, 6 assists. Fundamental, so they say, to our team. I'm not sure if I agree. But still, he played many games, underperformed for me for the most part of the season. Maybe because of Allegri tactics. Well, everybody is underperforming under his tactics, unfortunately. But Miralem, I expected more from him this season. I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves. However, we need somebody of his qualities. And you never know. If we're going to get a coach who gets the best out of him, we might be, well, we should keep him probably. I don't know. Graham, Miralem Pjanic, what do you think of him this season?
Oh, the problem is our only playmaking midfielder when you look at the squad that we've got. So you can't really take him out of the squad. If you take him out, then who's your playmaker in the pitch, really? So I think that's why he pretty much played most of the games. I really impressed me all that much throughout the season. You know, I didn't know what he was supposed to be doing or what he was doing, and it was just it wasn't really effective passing from him for the most part. But you know, we've been saying for a while maybe that's not his role. I mean, he was more advanced at Roma, wasn't he? And then we got him, and we've just brought him closer and closer to the defence, and that's got to affect his game as well. I'd give him a 6, just an average season for him.
Yeah, I'd go the same, 6 or maybe even just below 5.5 or something. Like, it was pretty bad on his part. I don't know. Getting into the discussion of him being, you know, pivotal for us and whatnot, I don't necessarily. I've been going back and forth on that, honestly, because I don't agree, first of all, that the way we play is the way we should, right? And if you think about that, who's to say, like, what's Bentancur's role? Like, who's to say he can't? He's got great technical ability and whatnot, and we talk about Pjanic being a playmaker. What were his stats? Did you have his stats there, Roman?
6 assists.
6 assists. Okay.
Yeah.
And
2 goals.
I think I can remember probably 1 or 2 of them. So I don't know how he's getting the stats, whatever. They're not going to give Bonucci the friggin' half assist, but yeah, no, I don't know. It's just there's not enough there. I can't think of too many times he's playing the balls through to guys and sending them in, like. And again, going back to what I was mentioning with Alexandra, is like, our guys make great runs sometimes. They're just unrewarded. And I don't know. Maybe that's an Allegri style thing, a training thing. We know that he loves to just cross it from the outsides, right? But, you know, Bernardeschi takes a lot of heat. He makes a lot of great runs that are barely ever rewarded. No runs get rewarded when Cuadrado gets the ball. We just have an ongoing issue, right? So it's hard to like break it down on these guys because overall our play still leaves so much to be desired, right? And it's hard. Pjanic though, yeah, I mean, for me, it was a below average season for him. A lot of the time he just lacked the sense of urgency and didn't look like he really cared, to be honest. For a lot of it, from what I seen out of him, I didn't like the body language. I just a lot of whining, complaining for calls and stuff instead of like picking up the team and let's go, right? And I think he should be one of those guys. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't very impressed this season.
Well, in my opinion, he did what he wasn't supposed to do. Is running and tackling and being physical. Miralem Pjanic, that kind of player, should not be doing these things. He's not the body type for it. Running and tackling, I mean, every time, every half, you know, when it's halftime, the screen comes up with the stats of who ran the most, who tackled the most, and so on. Miralem is always among the top 3 guys for Juve. And that amazes me because he was supposed to be like the controlling guy, sitting and just spreading the balls left and right. But it seems to me that that's not the issue. It seems that he runs. That's what his task is, apparently. And as you said, Bentancur could do the same things, probably even better, because Bentancur at least has the potential of getting his body up to shape and being much more physical.
Yeah.
Younger as well. So, yeah, I agree with the Pjanic being very poor this season. I gave him a 6. Yeah. All right, we gotta pick it up a bit. So yeah, we touched on Bentancur. Let's go with him. Bentancur, 2 goals, 3 assists. Played as well, box-to-box player sometimes. Played as vice Pjanic sometimes, and suddenly he was even playing as a right winger. Even I don't know. I don't even know Allegri that knew how to use him correctly. It's just. Yeah, he was everywhere. But for such a young age, remember, he's a young guy.
Oh, yeah.
So for just such young age, this is a stepping stone for him. So next season will be very exciting to see what he will do. But for this season, Graham, how did do you agree that he was okay, but he does nothing great?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of a theme running here when we're talking about the players. You know, nothing.
Yeah.
about, I mean, maybe we'll probably change our opinion the further upfield we go, a certain player. And there's a lot of promise with Bentancur. I mean, you have to remember as well, he played in the World Cup with Uruguay, so there's got to be something about him. And he put in some good performances, not all the time. Specifically, I remember he had a really good performance away at Old Trafford against Man United. I remember there was quite a bit of hype about him after that game. And then he wasn't used as often as I thought he would be. Hopefully whoever comes in, uses him more. I think he could be a really big player.
If I'm not mistaken, that in that game Pjanic was suspended, right? So Bentancur played instead of him. Is that correct?
I think you're right.
I think we're having some issues in midfield, whether it be injury or suspension.
All right. Al, what did you give him? I mean, he is a great guy, great prospect, but Allegri doesn't seem to get kind of figure out these technical guys, and Bentancur is no exception.
Yeah, Bentancur, I put him at 6.5, pushing the 7, and the reason is because that stretch, he was arguably the best out of the 3 when we had no midfield substitutes, and they played, I can't remember how many matches in a row, those same 3 guys. He was shining through out of all 3 of them. And then again, this was one of the situations that led me to just get so upset and frustrated at lack of competition, because good old Slammin' Sammy comes back, and Bentancur's pushed aside, and then Emre Can had his thyroid issues. He comes back, and Bentancur's pushed away back of the bus. And I don't think it needs to be that way, right? We need to work a rotation a little bit better. And the funny thing is that if you look at Allegri's numbers and lineups and whatnot, he hasn't played the same lineup like very often, if at all, throughout a season. But he's just like, still, we have no players progressing. We have no consistency, no chemistry developing between them, no clearly identifiable style of play. Like, it's so strange to me. It's just really, this has been a really, really bizarre season. But yeah, Bentancur for me, like, again, we got to remember how young he was, but so crucial through that stretch. And he was even great in a few Champions League appearances. For me, 6.5 to 7 for him.
Yeah. Sami Khedira. There is we can talk about Sami for hours. Pissed off at him for hours. But the main fact is that he has been a soldier for us. But for the past 2 seasons, those 2 seasons should have never been at Juve, in my opinion. He should have been sold after that first season, maybe the second one. But I don't know. He doesn't give me anything. He is just there, and for me, it's very frustrating because the guys like Bentancur, as we mentioned, sitting on the bench, not being developed, are being frustrated because they're not giving playing time. But Khedira does. Luckily, he was injured for a lot this season, so other guys got the chances. Emre Can, also a young player. For me, Khedira just gives me absolutely nothing, and I really hope there are talks of him leaving this season. Nothing confirmed, but I really hope that he is gone. Thanks for the memories. Bye. Graham, what do you think of Khedira? Is it time to leave? And finally,
yeah, it's definitely time for him to leave. I mean, he's an injury. It's a harsh truth. He's an injury-prone midfielder with a heart condition on top of it. He's getting up there in age. I was waiting to say slowing down, but he's always been somewhat slow since he's been at Juventus. I see the fascination with him. I don't get why it always instantly goes into the first team. I mean, you've got younger players there that can give you so much more than him. And the previous season, 17-18, was just mind-boggling because we were all criticising him and we're all getting on top of him. He would score a goal. and then he would score another goal, and you're like, what is going on here? But that didn't happen this season, and it's just time for him to go with Allegri. He spends more time injured than playing, and we can all joke like, thankfully he's injured, but that's a midfielder that we're missing, like guys, and especially when we're playing 4-3-3. We didn't have that many midfielders. We basically kicked Marquisio to the could have done with him, especially early on when players were either fatigued from the World Cup or injured or suspended, and persisted with a 4-3-3. So I'd give KHEDIRA a 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Real quick, Al, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Sammy's just so frustrating. It's like, I don't understand how Allegri could be so upset with like a guy like Cancelo pushing up, getting caught or whatnot, but then a midfielder, leaving basically Miralem Pjanic. You talk about his numbers running. That's why, it's because we leave him so thin all the time to try and cover space, right? And Sammy's a prime example of it. And when we talk about Bonucci, his main job being defending it, but then we want to talk about ball playing abilities. Well, KHEDIRA, I mean, we don't need him just being higher than our strikers in attack like all the time. So it's like when you look at a midfielder's duties, and he's always up there and caught, and it's so frustrating to watch, right? Yeah, he's like 5. I'm done with him.
Yeah, 5. Good enough. I gave him a 6, but yeah, and I'm being very, very
You're
gentle.
far too kind, Roman.
Oh yeah. All right, his brother, younger brother, Emre Can, who is not his brother, but they look almost the same. I was very worried about Emre. He started the season very poorly, struggled, but then, I mean, after that game against Atletico, he probably was the only player, well, of course, apart from the usual suspects like Ronaldo and so on, he was probably the only player who truly elevated his game, and Spinazzola, of course. He just got better and better and better as the season went on. And for me, right now, when I saw him injured today against Sampdoria, I was hoping that this was nothing serious. Of course, it's the end of the season and so on, but still, if he broke that ankle, well, you're out for the year at least. So, yeah, luckily for us, nothing is serious there. But Emre Can, I gave him a 7.5, almost an 8. Al, you agree?
I agree. I was going to put him right up there with Spina Cancelo, but then I thought about it and I put him a little bit higher, so 7.5. And you nailed it, right? Like he stepped up big, and it's coming towards the later part of the season. He really started to progress and show us that he could work multiple roles. That's what I was scared of at the start of the season, because they tried him out around, moving him around a bit, and I was like, oh man, this is crazy. He can't do anything. But then all of a sudden, towards the end of the season, he even showed being comfortable at center back the odd time when we needed him to, right? So like there's some versatility there in his game, which I really like, but he's a big physical presence that we need, that actually has a motor. So yeah, I'm liking him. 7.5 for me.
Yeah. Graham, I just thought about that episode when where Ronaldo got that red card against Valencia. Remember that? Yeah. And then Emre Can was like his bodyguard. You don't mess with Cristiano there, and he was physical, man. I wouldn't mess with Emre.
No, I think he had a good season for us. I mean, I completely agree. I'd give him a 7. He's only, missing games through injury, and my only concern with him is he injury prone? I mean, I think he had some injury issues with Liverpool.
Yeah.
And he looks, it might not just be physical appearances, but he's got in common with KHEDIRA, unfortunately. I mean, he's had some form of injury today, and he had the whole thyroid problem earlier in the season. Was that what it was?
Yeah, thyroid.
So that's my only concern with him. And we've got Aaron Ramsey coming in. That's another player with a track record of injuries. So that's my only concern with him at the moment. Just injury prone. But he had a good performance.
But Ramsey was arguably Arsenal's best player this season, and he's actually averaged 30 plus games the past 2 seasons. This one and last, right? So it's not as bad as people make it out to be, right? I think
Oh no,
Randall's going to be key for us next season, to be honest with you. But Roman, touching on the physicality of Chan, one of my favorite clips from this season was as Ronaldo was waiting to take the PK against Atletico at home, and Dybala was standing next to him to
Oh
try
yeah,
guys, and they were just, I think it was Jimenez was ready to go right through Dybala, and in comes Big Emery Chan, and just right away,
yeah.
nobody's getting near Ronaldo.
Oh, I love the guy. Well, yeah, and he reminds me of Arturo Vidal. I said it many times. He reminds me somewhat of Arturo. Of course, because he got number 23 on the back. But then I don't know. There's something about him. He's grinta. There's something there. There's something there. So I'm really excited to see what he can bring us next season. And remember, he was a free transfer.
Yeah.
So that's a great deal right there. Of course, some signing on fees and this high salary, but still, we got him for free. So yeah, lovely to see. 7.5 for him from me also. And that's it. We got one last midfielder. We only, I mean, seriously, we have 5 midfielders. I get that, Graham. I get your point. 5 midfielders throughout the whole season. No wonder we are screwed in the Champions League.
It's crazy.
Blaise Matuidi, 3 goals, 2 assists, and a whole lot of ball disposition. Yeah, Al, let's start with you. Blaise Matuidi, the guy who cannot shoot, the guy who can tackle, but that's about it.
Yeah, touch of a rapist as well. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he's
Jesus.
you know, 6.5 to 6.5 or 7 from me, just because of his incredible work rate, right?
Yeah.
And again, when I think about Blaise Matuidi, it's rough to go at him like that, because he fills an incredible role, a thankless role, really. But again, it just doesn't make sense to me how we use him and why he finds himself so advanced up the pitch and stuff. It's like, that is not a guy I would push up the pitch. He would be my workhorse, kind of in behind my guys, winning the ball, getting it to the guys that need it. But again, through no fault of his own, I believe, he gets picked apart a lot because he's not up there technically. We know that. He's not that guy. But what he does offer, he is one of the best at. I got to give him that, right? So, it's tough with Blaise. But used properly, I wouldn't doubt coming to an end of the season and him being one of the key guys, right? The way we use him, 6.5 to 7, above average. Can we do without? We think so right now because of the way we use him, right?
Yeah.
If used properly, he might be one of those key guys, that we wouldn't want to do without.
Yeah, that's a great point. Great point. Graham, do you agree?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, Matuidi, he doesn't really have the technical skills to be going forward as much as he does. I've always seen him more as a sort of defensive midfielder type, if you know what I mean. So if he's used in that role, he could probably be very effective for us. I mean, part of that France team that won the World Cup. So, if you use him in the proper role, it can bring a lot to the game for you, but not going forward. You should forward for me. I would give him, I'd give him a 6.5 as well, just above average.
Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty much agree. I'd give him a 6.5 as well. And that's it for the midfielders. And then we got a bunch of attackers. Some of them had a good season, and most of them didn't, because we don't know how to attack. So let's start off with our crown jewel. I mean, I don't know how many goals he had last season, but this season, Paulo Dybala has 5 goals and 4 assists. That's it. And today's game, I don't know if you're watching this video and you watched also the Sampdoria game. Well, this Sampdoria game sums up the season for Paulo Dybala. Absolutely invisible. You can blame Allegri, you can blame Dybala, you can call it a mix. Whose fault is it? But the fact is that I fail to see that he improves. And that pisses me off, because he has great potential. But there is no coach out there who knows what to do with this guy. Under different circumstances, under Guardiola maybe, he would do better, because at least we would improve his technicality. But he's not a defensive guy. He never was. He never will be. But we still keep using him as a box-to-box midfielder, and that is, yeah, that is so frustrating. So I gave him a 6. Graham, Paulo Dybala. Let's go.
Oh, he's so frustrating. You know there's so much talent in that player, and we rarely saw it at all this season. We saw it maybe once or twice. We saw it against young boys earlier on. But the thing that frustrates me about him is I keep seeing him so deep into our own half. And what is the point in having Dybala come deep? There's no effect for him. You're better front. You're better having him going forward. He's got technical ability. He can dribble. He can curl that ball like no one else. You know what I mean? So much technical ability. And we didn't see much of it this season. I think the formation definitely hurt him, but it's not completely just the formation's fault. You know, adapted more. He's definitely not a box-to-box type player. I mean, you just need to look at him and you can see that he could have done better as a wing, natural position, but at least he's more up front in the attack than he is as a so-called box-to-box player. I hope it's a big season for him now. He's still at Juventus, because if Dybala remains and he has another bad season, Allegri's not there to blame, and it'll be purely on Dybala. I would give him a 6, and that's just being, kind to him.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with Dybala, the Curva Twitter community, let's call them that, really divided on this. Some of them blame Allegri, but others are thinking maybe we should just get rid of him and get likes of Milinkovic-Savic or Pogba instead of him, because Dybala can cost a lot of money, and that money can be used in a position that we really need. But then again, you have this immense talent, quality that can be absorbed, that can be improved. But are we waiting for something? Are we waiting for him, or are we waiting for a coach who knows what to do with him? What do we do?
Man, have I ever gotten into it on social media about this guy? Like, it's so hard because each season with us has been great. If you look at his numbers, last year he put up 22. The year before, the goals, the year before he was at 17, 18, I think, and the year before that 16. He's always been in that range. But last year was the first year it was actually second striker role, working off Higuain, and they work great off each other, and we saw something there. Be it the addition of Cristiano, whatever it was, he didn't get that role this year, and that plays into it. And then I understand a lot of it performance-wise for him, he wasn't up to it. Again, it's pretty clear to see there's tension there. There was tension there between him and Allegri last year. That weighs on a player. That's going to have an effect. If there's issues in the locker room, that's going to have an effect. We don't know about those certain things, right? If that's a case, he's got to pick it up mentally. He's got to be better than, be stronger. That's something fans have criticized on him. I don't really know if I believe in that. My personal opinion is this season needs to be make or break for us, Juventus and Dybala. This one coming up. We're getting a new coach. Let's see what style play we're going to have. Let's see how we align the players. Because here's the thing. When you look at Dybala and you look at the way he's been used, think about the positions we've played him in. Think about what characteristics you look for in a player playing that position. I guarantee you more of those qualities are qualities Dybala doesn't possess. He needs to be up in the area, in and around goal. That's where he's going to do your damage. He doesn't have the stamina, endurance to be a winger or a box-to-box guy. He doesn't have the pace. He's a one quick move shooter. He doesn't have the pace to do that type of job. in some areas, he just doesn't have the physicality to do that.
But what happened? What happened since last season? I mean, the Allegri was the coach last season as well. So
but
the only thing that changed.
And he was playing second striker to Higuain. They lined up. And this is the thing. When you line up and you look at a formation, it can be listed as 4-4-2, 4-3-3. I don't care. It depends on what they do on the actual pitch and how he actually aligns them, right? So even if it's called 4-3-3, whatever, and that's how they list it, and they pops up on your little screen there, you got to watch what they do on the pitch. It's no different than when we lined up against Atletico Madrid. It actually turned into a 3-5-2 with Emre Can, even though it was listed as a 4-3-3, right? Dybala spent last season playing off of Higuain, and it worked. It was good. You look at this year, all our guys up front, even Mario having to be a target guy, we actually didn't play that way. We didn't actually play the season with a target guy. You know, Moise Kean offers us a little bit of a target guy because he stays more central than any of our other forwards. And I don't know if that's something coached or it's just player habits. You guys know just as good as I do as to what's happening there, right? None of us will know how much of it is coached and how much of it is player. But yeah, Dybala, that's a frustrating one. I'm not quite ready. I say let's get one more year, see what we're going to do next year, and then go from there, especially with such a significant drop in value.
Yeah, that's a good point. So a 6 for him?
Yeah.
All right. Juan Cuadrado.
I'm going to pass.
You're going to pass. That's fine. Graham, Cuadrado, what? Okay, let's twist this a little bit. If you are Allegri, what do you do? Why are you starting Cuadrado?
Familiar with him. Was good friends with him. Had something on him. I don't know.
Marijuana has been legalized there. I don't know.
Possibly, I'm not a clue. But the thing with Cuadrado, right? When he first arrived, he was a fast, quick, pacey with tricks on him. So it was effective for that. You like to have a fast winger out in the wide positions and running. When he loses, and he's showing signs that he is actually losing it, what use is he? And he gives the ball away. His thinking is 5 seconds behind everyone else. It's just sell. If someone's stupid enough to come in and buy him, sell him. He's just useless. No use anymore. He's a squad player. You have him on the bench. If he's happy being on the bench, then maybe keep him. But he should be nowhere near the team. I mean, he played today, and I know it's a throwaway game. It's basically a friendly that we're watching, but it was just every reason to get what you saw today.
Well, the thing is with him is that he takes up space of somebody else. I mean, a youngster. Who was his name? Mavididi. What was his name? From Arsenal.
Mavididi, yeah.
That's the guy that maybe could get a shot today instead of Cuadrado. I get that today was his birthday. They probably had a cake before the game. So for me, that's just the only reason why he is starting. He isn't quick anymore, as you touched on it. We saw that clearly in the second half today, that he was muscled off the ball after he was running after the ball. Nothing really spectacular. And especially the thing is that annoys me the most is that every time he gets the ball, he stops. He stops and the whole team stops. But the opposition gets back. They have the time to get back into position, into defending. And well, in Serie A, they love defending. So for him, he just wasted a gold opportunity for Juve to come counter-attack him because he doesn't know what to do. And I don't even know how he managed to get 2 assists and 1 goal this season after being injured for the most part of the season, and still in favor of starting instead of Mavididi or Moise Kean on the right flank, for that matter. It's very, very strange. So for me, I gave him a 5. Graham, you gave him a
5, definitely
5. Yeah,
below
and
average.
L, you gave him a 0. Was it?
Yeah, go away.
Go away.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Okay, so 0 then.
so done with Juan Cuadrado.
Well, we're not gonna touch on him anymore. On the other side of the pitch, Douglas Costa, a very refreshing guy, very unstable guy, but however, on his best, he probably is the best in the world. Unfortunately, his best is very, very random and very, very rare. I mean, it's one time per season, but when he is good, he is very, very good. Al, what did you give him?
I give Costa a 6.5. I thought I wanted to give him higher. I can't for just the stupid incident right at the start of the season because he looked great, and then it's just like we don't need that garbage. And then he got some more nonsense throughout the season, and then when he came back and he was I'm ready. We're gonna give this a go. So hit and miss.
Yeah, and he was injured.
Yeah, and then the injuries too, and I'm just like, oh my god. So I actually look at this season, and I think we pretty much did what we did without him. Is he going to be a game breaker for us? He has a potential to be. I don't know. There's too many warning signs there, and I don't know. He's his strongest coming off the left, and if we have Ronaldo on the pitch, Ronaldo's his best coming off the left. Ronaldo being isolated up top doesn't do us any good. So we run into almost a same kind of catch-22 as we have in Dybala. How are you going to play these guys? How is it going to work, right? And Costa might be one of those guys where I could see moving on from if the price is right and boosting our midfield through that, right? But I don't know. A lot of people say Dybala's that guy. So I don't know. For me, Costa's a tough one, but yeah, overall this year, not impressed, especially how he finished so strong last season and was pretty much our best down the stretch. Yeah, I just didn't like the inconsistency this season. So yeah, 6.5 for me, and arguably could be moved.
Yeah, Graham, do you agree with Al? If we are gonna boost our midfield, is Douglas Costa the right guy?
Yeah, I would definitely sell him if someone comes in with offer. I mean, he's inconsistent. He is a talented player. He shows signs of his skill and ability, but it was just his stupidity that cost him this season. I mean, we had the incident at the beginning of the season. I think he went off with Neymar involved in a car crash or something like that. I'm pretty sure I remember that. And you can do without that. You don't need incidents like that because that could have actually been a lot worse, you know. So if someone comes in with a big bid, you know, I would sell him and I would replace him with a central midfielder or spend it on a centre back, you know, because he's not a key player. You know, you could actually go without him. You don't need him.
What did you give him this season then?
6.
Okay. Wow.
Yep.
No, fine. 1 goal he got. That's all he got this season. So 6 for me as well. Yeah. Mario Mandzukic. 9 goals, 6 assists. That's refreshing. Actually, we are almost up to 2 digits there. Mario. He played as a left winger last season. As bizarre as it looked, didn't work yet. It didn't. But now he got back from the World Cup, apparently exhausted, according to Allegri, throughout the whole season, which is a very strange thing for me, being exhausted in March after what happened last summer. So yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. But still, he got 9 goals, 6 assists, but more and more uninterested as the season went on. Missed that, lost that killer instinct, lost that grinta, lost that thing that we love him for. So apparently now we are desperate for the jeers every time Mario Mandzukic tracks back, and then tackles somebody in our own half, and then the whole J Stadium just erupts because of that one thing. That's how desperate our fan base has become with Mario Mandzukic. We're just grasping from straws here. I think this season was disappointed, but still 9 goals, 6 assists. I gave him a 6.5. Al, what's your thoughts on Mario?
I'm gonna go a 6.5 as well.
Yeah.
He's just above average there. Again, though, like, yeah, okay, he went to the finals in the World Cup. To be burnt out, though, yeah, he was burnt out by the end of it. Not because of that, because Allegri just grossly overused him. Grossly overused him. Going down the stretch, he could have possibly had an effect in the bigger matches going down the stretch. Had he had any gas left in the tank, possibly he could have done it. But one, we kind of use him. I don't know why is he going out wide on the wing or whatnot? Like, sit centrally, be a target guy. We don't need you drifting out to the wing, because the play gets there. Guess what? It's dead. And we saw that a lot this season.
Yeah.
So he's grossly overused by Allegri, sometimes not used properly, drifting around. And the defense, I don't need a striker playing D. I don't care about the defensive abilities. He even got a ball, I can't remember what match it was, in our corner. Instead of killing clock, he put it into the middle. They scored on us. We ended up drawing the game. We drew a match. We were up 3-1, and I'm just like, well, like, don't have a striker in a defensive position, like, doing stuff like that. It's so frustrating. But yeah, I don't know. Mario, I love him, but Allegri just ran him dead for me.
Yeah. Graham, would you sell him this summer?
I think he's a good player to have in the squad. I mean, it's saying about, Allegri talking about burnout. The beginning of the season, Mandzukic was really good for us, and that was right after the World Cup. So you would have, especially when Croatia were playing games that were going into extra time or penalty shootouts, you would have thought at the beginning of the season that Mandzukic would have been shattered and he would have needed a rest, but it was the opposite. It was fine the first half of the season, and remember, Ronaldo was still getting used to playing with, and it took him a little while to get his first goal. Mandzukic was the one that was getting the goals for us. He scored some big goals, and then he just had that blank spell where nothing was working for him. Supposedly he was exhausted, which he probably was. He needed a break. He didn't really get a break, but he was tailored off towards the end of the season, and it was basically really bad for the second half of the season, and I thought it was really good for the first half. I'd give him a 6.5, just for the first half of the season. The first half of the season, he was a key player for us, even though he's playing out of position. He got a really good partnership with Ronaldo. Them two just gelled together, and then second half of the season, it is what it is. He just stopped scoring, playing well, and then got injured.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, he's a good player to have in the squad. Yeah, but then we need to use it correctly as well, as you guys mentioned. So, yeah, let's see what happens with the new coach. Moise Kean, interesting guy. Very interesting. Very non-Italian, let's say. Very direct and young, and also he improved dramatically this season. Came out of nowhere, basically, but yeah, still a very young guy, and got 6 goals. Clinched the Scudettos for us, let's say it like that, because if it wasn't for his goals, it would be a type more interesting during the last part of the season. I gave him a 7. Graham, Moise Kean, he reportedly will sign a new contract, or have already done it maybe, with Juve, keeping him for at least 5 years, it seems. Boost in a salary as well. Well, deservedly so.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would keep a hold of him. I would keep him hold of him at any cost. I mean, we know how talented he is. We know the ability that's in that young player. Also, he's mentally strong. I mean, he showed that with the unfortunate incidents with Cagliari, and I thought he responded perfectly. You could understand, you would imagine that, you know, you've got to be severely pissed off when that's happening to you, especially when you're a teenager, you know, not expecting things like that, especially basically at your workplace. You've got a large amount of people doing that to you. He scored a goal, he responded correctly, and he was banging in goals every time he got the occasion. And he was doing it for the national team as well when he got the opportunity.
Yeah, no, Moise Kean, I'm gonna go 7.5. I'm pumped on him. Yeah, just strong, fast, got a nose for goals, got everything you want out of him, and so much drive in that kid, and mature beyond his years, as Graham touched on how he dealt with the whole situation. I'm pumped on him. I hope the deal goes through and gets signed and they finalize that. We got to build. We got to build with these guys, you know. And yeah, I thought what he did was great. I was arguing, trying to get him time throughout early parts of the season, thinking we got to give him the minutes here, and that's exactly what's going to give Mandzukic the breaks. And we didn't see it. We didn't see Moise Kean for quite some time before he started getting some time. And then all of a sudden they're like, holy, this kid can play. Well, no kidding, he can play. Every time you see him with the Azzurrini or whatnot, he's potting goals. And it's like, let's give him some minutes. Do we have to have CR7, Dybala, Mandzukic to like play the likes of Empoli and stuff like that? Like, no, like let's get these guys some minutes, see what we got. And that could have been the difference for poor old Mario come the end of it too, and having gas if we gave him more consistent breaks throughout the year. But Kane, for me, he can't go anywhere. He's got to stay with us.
Yeah, I agree as well. So, yeah, he's immense future ahead of him, and well, he could be that striker that Italian national team, were looking for. I don't buy the Immobile hype. I don't buy the.
Is there still hype around him?
Oh yeah, yeah. He's still starting.
How many more horror shows do we need to see?
He's still starting, and Belotti is in there as well. I mean, yeah, Moise Kean is the future, and I hope, really, really hope that Mancini, as international coach, acknowledges and sees it, because yeah, he needs to play, basically. Yeah, I gave him a 7 as well as you, Graham. Let's see, Federico Bernardeschi. Now here is a little very interesting stuff. Federico Bernardeschi, he is a working horse. No doubt about it. He works, he runs. He rarely assists, even though he has 3 assists. He rarely scores because he has only 2 goals, but his left foot probably is the best in Italy. Well, of course, apart from Cristiano. But I don't know. I'm not sold on this guy. I'm still on the fence. I'm not sure if I like the guy. Well, of course, he's cute and he's wonderful with all his tattoos. He's with his dogs and yeah, reading books. He's a lovely character, but I mean, on the pitch, very, very inconsistent. Very inconsistent, and every time I see that now is the chance for him to shine, he fails. His game against Atletico was the game where he shined, and ever since then he never improved. He just only got worse and worse and worse. Al, what's your thoughts on Bernardeschi?
Bernardeschi, for me, this season, I put him at a 6.5 to 7, in between that range, because he did improve for me on last year's performance, and he showed a little bit more of the Bernardeschi we expected when we brought him on this year. Because last year I didn't really see it at all. Even though he had, he didn't get minutes till later on in the season, whatnot, but still just, I wasn't really feeling confident. This season, he showed me what he's capable of. His biggest thing is the decision making is just shocking at times. But again, reoccurring theme amongst all our players, other than 3 that I could think of, is the consistency issue. So it keeps bringing up the question as to our style of play. How many times has Bernardeschi been switched around on the field, and where he's going? Like, very, very hard to build consistency when you're not even played in a natural spot consistently. So it's hard to demand consistency when, your coach isn't even lining you up in the same spot from a match to match basis. It's kind of tough, the whole thing with him, right? I think for me, he's on a make or break season, probably even more so than Dybala next season. I think next season, like, Bernardeschi made an increase for me this year to last, and I think now the next one is going to be his judgment season, where we say, hey, you know what, it's time to cut the cord, or no, you know what, he's got to take the ball and run with it. Really, basically, he's got to step up, because it's just still that decision making in the final third that's so poor a lot of the time. That's got to pick it up, and that can only be on him, really.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one to blame for that.
Graham, I'm thinking, should Bernardeschi, is he good enough to start for Juve if we are a full strength team? Is he good enough?
In the current lineup, with the current formation, I would say so, because, I mean, who else do you put in? Really? I mean, it's going to be, whether we like it or not, based on this season. It was Mandzukic out on the left, and then you had Bernardeschi on the other side. I mean, there's no one else other than maybe, off the top of my head, Cuadrado. You don't want him there. He'll give
Well, there is no competition there.
No, with Bernardeschi, he'll always give you effort. He'll always put the work in. It's just his decision making at times, and again, consistency. But the ability's there, and he'll always put the effort in for you. So I would give him a 6.5.
Yeah, I gave him a 7. Just because, I don't know, his work rate. I mean, that's the thing, really, with every single player that has some technical ability in them. They're more renowned for their working rate rather than technical ability. Allegri made Dybala work. Allegri made Pjanic work. Bernardeschi work, and so on and so on. So every single player out there, primary task is running, tackling, get the ball, not the finesse. That's all on Ronaldo. That's all on CR7. But the getting the ball back, that's everybody's business. That's everybody's task. So Federico is only one of them, one of many players that do exactly the same task. And no wonder, even when he plays as a right winger or left winger or whatnot, 2 goals and 3 assists is just not good enough. I want more. I want more goals. I want more assists from the guy who should start for us. But we'll see what happens next season. Maybe we get some coach that actually knows what to do with him.
Do you think he could play in the midfield, like not so far advanced? Do you think he'd be better utilized that way?
Not physical enough. I don't think he's strong enough physically. No, I don't think so. That's my opinion. I don't know, Graham, what you think.
Not really physical enough. He's got the work rate. I mean, this season we're pretty much workmanlike. That's the best way to describe Juventus.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It depends who we have in the midfield.
Because I just think, if we got a guy like Matuidi winning balls, getting him to Berna, and Berna's one of those middle guys, his distribution, his technical.
But that's where I think Aaron Ramsey will be. He will be the link up between the attack and the midfield, because that's where he is at Arsenal at this point. And then you have also, of course, Emre Can, Bentancur, who are capable. But Bernardeschi, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see where he will be at. And also, of course, Dybala, when Aaron Ramsey coming in, because those guys are very similar. So let's see what happens. Finally, last but not least, did we expect Cristiano Ronaldo arriving at Juve? If we look back at it 365 days back, I mean, crazy. He arrived, shocked everybody. We started believing in Champions Leagues, Scudettos, trebles, kings of the world. We got it all. We got Dybala, Douglas Costa. I mean, everything going forward. We even got Cancelo. We even got Jorge Mendes as the wonderful, that insane agent on our side now, because he got us Cristiano and Cancelo. I mean, everything was working for us. Unfortunately, well, all know where it ended. So we didn't get the Champions League, we didn't get the Copa, we only got that freaking Scudetto that nobody cares about anymore, unfortunately. Cristiano Ronaldo, guys, 21 goals and 8 assists. New to Serie A, didn't know much about it, struggled against Kiev in his first game, I remember it very well. Struggled at the beginning of the season, didn't score at all. Still managed to be where he is today, our best, in my opinion, the best player this season, apart from Chiellini. I don't know, Graham, let's start with you. Cristiano Ronaldo, his season for Juve, and how important was he for this team? Would he? I know this discussion was on Twitter a couple of weeks ago. If Cristiano hadn't been at Juve, would Juve still win the Scudetto or not?
I think we would have still won it when you look at what happened with the other. I mean, Napoli were inconsistent. The 2 Milan clubs were just doing their thing. Roma had a bad season. That's the underwhelming. You look back on this season, there was no competition, and we just sleepwalked our way to winning the league, and that's not a criticism. That's a criticism on the other sides. We didn't even need to go up the gears to win the league, and you can't really say that about previous seasons. I mean, people that don't follow Italian football, they look at 8 Scudetto in a row and they go, "Oh, easy league. Anyone could win the league with Juventus." But we know that's not true. I mean, we've been watching Juventus and we've seen that we've actually deserved to win it. There've been victories, but this season it just felt different. But Ronaldo was crucial to us. I mean, Ronaldo was our best player, there's no doubt about that. But I think we would have still won the league without him. I don't think he scored nearly as much goals as Ronaldo did, but you never know. Dybala and Higuain had a really good partnership goal. Maybe that would have continued on to this season, doesn't really matter. But either way, I think we win the league just based on lack of competition.
Yeah.
Well,
I'd have to agree, just based on the status of all those all our rivals and where they're at. I think we still win the league. You could make an argument for both sides on the Ronaldo signing, really. I mean, it's a possibility that we put so much emphasis and almost maybe created this environment where we relied on him almost, right? Maybe that took away the edge off some of the other players or some, and they just felt he would come through, right? I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough to say, but at the same time, I can't look at a situation where you have a chance to sign Cristiano Ronaldo and you don't do it. It just, you have to, you get the opportunity to, you bring him in. 33 years old, whatever. He's one of the 2 aliens and you take him, I just, I mean, hindsight's 2020. You look back on the season, and maybe it was just Allegri not figuring it out with the other guys. I don't know. It's tough to say, but
now here's an interesting question for you both, actually. Did Juve as a team, as a squad, get better with Ronaldo arriving?
I would have to say no. I would say as a team, we didn't.
Yeah.
And that's just going based on overall play and performance wise. I think we were even more so reliant on individual play rather than team buildup and, creating quality chances and whatnot. I think we were, it felt a lot more frustrating to watch this year. And I was frustrated last year, so that says a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Graham, what do you think?
It's crazy to say it. I don't think we improved as a team.
Mm.
You're always going to improve when you get a player like Ronaldo in the team, but the game plan just seemed to be every week go into wide areas, ball into the centre, right in front of your opponent's goal, and hope that Ronaldo scores. That's not really a great game plan. I mean, it's just down to individual ability. But
Yeah.
as a team, we just didn't seem to click. You know, whether that was tactics, formation, what.
What did you give him, guys? I gave him 8.5.
Yeah, I gave him 9 because he's one of the 3 we can't go without. Him, Szczesny, and Chiellini, in my eyes. Those 3 are the 9s.
Yeah. Graham?
It's also a 9 from me. It took a little while to get going, but once he got going, he was just brilliant for us. So consistent.
Yeah. And those goalies made some ridiculous saves on him early in the season. He could have had so many goals right off the bat.
Yeah, true.
And how many points did he end up winning for us this season? Almost 30 or something. I think he won like 26 points for us or something like that.
Well, he was the guy. I mean, we can praise Bernardeschi, Emre Can, and Szczesny and Spinazzola all day, but it was Cristiano who sent us to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, he gave us second life.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the guy just came along knockout rounds of the Champions League. I mean, it wasn't that good. He had an awful group stage. There's no way about that. You know, he got sent off in the first game. I think he only scored 1 goal in the entire group stage, and you're beginning to look at him and you're going, well, you're scoring in the league. You're brought in here for the Champions League. It's time for you to do it. Knockout round began, and he was just completely different. He scored all the goals for us, pretty much.
Yeah, he's an alien, as you attached it. He's insane. Everybody in the team, every single player talks so highly of him, how down to earth the guy is, but still how professional and winning mentality he is. So this guy, we need him next season as well. For the younger guys coming in, Aaron Ramsey will be there looking at Ronaldo and thinking, wow, I missed playing with this guy for so many years. I mean, yes, he played with some great players at Arsenal, but this is no comparison. Younger players like Nicolussi, like Mavididi, all the other guys, they are just soaking up that experience and this winning mentality that embodies Juve. So for me, he's the perfect signing, no doubt about it. All right, so we got all the players, and we spent lots of time, but it was very, very fun indeed. But lastly, but not least, let's rate Massimiliano Allegri. Let's rate him from 1, from 1 to 10. And let's rate this season alone. I gave him a 4. And the reason for this is that the squad that he has at his disposal has so much quality, but he manages to destroy it, to dismantle it, and basically not looking at the strengths of the squad, but looking at his own tactics and apply the squad to that tactics, if there was any tactics at all. And that pisses me off. Dybala is a perfect example of it. Mandzukic is just being used as a working horse as well, not as a striker. I mean, yeah, we have went all through this, so we are all agree on that. But yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Graham, let's start with you. Allegri and his season and the rating.
I would give him a 5 just because we won the league, but everything else was awful with him. He was safety first, couldn't utilise all that attacking talent. I mean, a better another manager in charge, who knows what kind of football we see. And it was the same in it. I mean, the Man United game, we go 1-0 up, and we decide we're just going to shut up shop, we're going to defend, and it
Yeah.
backfires. It backfires. The Atletico Madrid game, at times it looked like we were going to try and be too clever for our own good and settle for the draw. That backfired. Both Ajax games were just horrendous. And, you know, that's not even talking about the games against Atalanta. I mean, we got out of the Coppa Italia 3-0. 3-0, we lost that. And we like to look at it as like a meaningless cup. It doesn't mean that much. But when you lose that way, you can't defend it. And it just seemed to alienate players as well. I mean, Benatia, much that he had to actually leave in January. There's some form of underlying issues going on with Dybala. I mean, I remember, I think there was something speculated that they had a little falling out, or he took him off as a substitute. And then a week later, Ronaldo's doing the Dybala mask, and we're all speculating, what does that mean? You know, is there something going on behind the scenes? And he was full of excuse after excuse. And then even when, like a petty child, even when he won a game, he would come out and he'd go, you want beautiful football, but something along the lines of beautiful football doesn't win you things like that. And it's like, that's not an excuse. Stop making all these excuses up about how bad we're playing. You know, you're the guy that does the tactics. You're the guy that sets the team up. That's down on you. So that's, you know, I'm glad he's leaving. You know, I'm thankful for all the success. He will go down as one of our best managers statistically. It wasn't always this bad, but the past 2 seasons have just been awful to watch, and it was the right time for him to leave. You know, thanks for the success. Thanks for re-establishing us as, you know, a European force somewhat. You know, teams are somewhat afraid to play us. You know, before that, you know, we couldn't even get out the group stage one season with Conte.
Is he an overrated manager by many? By the reason for this being that he has the absolute best team in Serie A. There is no doubt about it. He maybe has the best team in Europe on paper. And he manages to get those Scudetti. He manages to get those trophies. And we praise him for it. We say that he's a successful manager. But if he goes to another club with, well, let's face it, worse players, most likely, will he do as good, or will he prove that he is a good manager, great manager? But I highly doubt it. But I don't know what's your feeling on it.
I doubt that, and I doubt it because, again, raising the question, who of our young guys has progressed? Which players of ours have progressed? We're seeing more guys, you know, regressing than progressing, right? You know, if he doesn't take over a top club, and he did with us after, obviously, Conte's 3-year project there, granted, he took that club to the Champions League final. But I mean, I don't know. After that,
But is it because of the players? Is it because of the players, or is it because of Allegri?
Is what, like his failures, or what?
No, his success.
The success.
His Scudetti.
I can't look at our clubs from when he took over and say that the Scudetti and the Coppa Italias were because of him. I can't. When I look at those clubs, I look at our rivals, I look at where we stand, like, no, I can't say it was just him. And then, you know, especially factoring in last year, you know, and then we look at our club this season, essentially the exact same season, but we've added Ronaldo. And as we all touched upon your question, Roman, you know, we're probably a worse off team this season. That has to rest on Allegri's shoulders, you know, to not get any kind of stability out of this club, any kind of consistency. And you've added one of the top 2 players in the world is shocking to me, that we can even have a discussion saying we're worse off. You know, think about that. That's got to be on Allegri. It has to. You know, ultimately it's his job to take the players he's been given and make the most out of it. And this year he failed tremendously failed. And you look at the one title we got, the 8th straight Scudetto, which is fantastic. But look at Napoli, look at Inter, look at Rome, look at these clubs, look at Milan. Like, I mean, we should. That should be a given regardless. I mean, it's crazy. So, and that's why the people that continue to defend him, for me, it's like, okay, I'm not so scared to make a change and say I don't care who that change is because we just need change, because I still feel confident we're going to take that Scudetto. You know, like I still see them as miles away, really, when you look at our club. And the one thing with Allegri is so funny. When we talk about, you know, is it him and what he gets out of his players? He handed us Pirlo on a pedestal, saying he was done and he's got no business. Like he ran him off to us, right into our hands here. And we gladly took that Andrea Pirlo and just, okay, go be our maestro, sir. And then he takes him, and then what does Pirlo do? Put in an incredible year, taking us to the Champions League final, you know, being a pivotal part. It's just funny with Allegri, man. I'm not sold. I wasn't sold when he came in, but as I've always said, it's all about Juve. So I don't care who's there. I'm going to support 150% all the way through. But for me, a lot of people said he should have been gone after Cardiff. Yeah, probably after all that, you know, dressing room stuff and all the stories that were going. That's probably a bad sign that, you know what, how's this guy going to keep the locker room? And when you think about this particular season, you know, 2 full seasons later, you look at this season, we have it written everywhere, just the signs of a team that has somebody that has lost control. You know, the signs are everywhere. Benatia, Dybala, like just inconsistencies, him coming out with some ridiculous press conference and then players speaking the complete opposite, you know, like it's just, the signs are everywhere. It was time, 100%.
So what'd you give him for this season as a rating?
4 or 4.5, and only just because we got that Scudetto. Yeah.
Funny. Unfortunately, or well, luckily for us, unfortunately for him, he will not be the manager of Juve any longer. So we will see how good he actually is if he joins some other team in Serie A. I highly doubt it. He'll probably go abroad. Yeah, let's see what happens with him. But the most important thing is what happens with us coming on from, starting from now, basically, starting from after the Champions League final. That's when we are going to announce our new coach. Don't know much about it. Don't even want to talk about it today. We'll do it on another day because it's getting too late. And I've really, really, really enjoyed this, guys. Thank you very much for joining me on rating player by player. Graham, thank you so much. You were able to attend, and also you, Alberto, from all Juvecast. I mean, guys, if you haven't touched on that podcast, please do. It's a gem, really.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so please check that out. Also follow us on Twitter. I'll put out the links down below. Follow me as well at Eurotherapy, and we will see you later for part 2 with the questions that came through Twitter in regards to this episode. See you then. Fino alla fine. Ciao.